They thought I was just a quiet widow with nothing to my name until I turned their pity into a lesson they'd never forget. If you've ever been underestimated by those closest to you, treated like a shadow instead of a force, this story is for you. My name is Eleanor Grayson, 60, a corporate strategist at a global firm in Chicago. To the world, I'm a reserved woman with a modest condo, a practical car, and plain clothes. But behind closed doors, I oversee multi-million-dollar deals, steering entire divisions with a steady hand. I've never flaunted my success. I don't need to. My life is about peace, not performance. My daughter, Mia, knows I work in business, but not the scale of it. I raised her to value integrity over wealth, to build her own path. When she married Daniel Harper 2 years ago, I saw her chasing a glitzier world, one of status and loud luxury. One rainy Thursday, Mia called, her voice clipped. "Mom, Daniel's parents are in town. Dinner at Vivre this Friday. They're excited to meet you." Her tone wasn't warm. It was cautious. "What did you tell them about me?" I asked. A pause. "Just that you're simple. Low-key." That word, simple, stung. My own daughter, worried I wouldn't measure up. That night, as rain tapped my window, I decided to show up as they expected. Unremarkable, quiet, ordinary. Not to shame them, but to see how they'd treat someone they thought had nothing. And maybe to remind Mia what I taught her about worth. Friday came, gray and damp. I chose a faded gray dress, scuffed flats, and a plain scarf. In the mirror, I wasn't the executive who commanded boardrooms. I was just Eleanor, a woman no one would notice. The cab ride to Vivre was quiet, Chicago's lights blurring through the rain. The driver glanced back. "Big night?" he asked. I smiled. Something like that. Vivre glowed with elegance. Crystal chandeliers, velvet chairs, the scent of truffle oil. Mia waited by the door, her face tense. "Mom, you look nice," she said, her smile forced. Daniel gave a quick nod, his eyes darting away. His parents, Margaret and Richard Harper, were polished perfection, her pearls gleaming, his watch catching the light. "So lovely to meet you, Eleanor," Margaret said, her voice dripping with rehearsed warmth. "Mia mentioned you live quite modestly." I nodded. I like things simple. At the table, their chatter flowed. Yacht trips, charity galas, a second home in Aspen. When they turned to me, their questions were polite but pointed. "Do you get by on your own?" Richard asked. "Must be tough without support," Margaret added, her smile sympathetic. I answered softly, deflecting. Then Margaret leaned in, her tone sweet but patronizing. "If you're ever struggling, we could help. Perhaps $500 a month for expenses. Mia shouldn't have to worry." Mia stared at her plate. Daniel Koftunian 2.0/0/0/3A0CC3B52D1E4C60A64-1B5F5F7F376 JPG type equals WEP and with equals 800 and quality equals 75. I smiled calmly. That's generous. Inside, I felt a quiet fire building, not anger, but resolve. The silence grew heavy. Mia fidgeted with her napkin. Richard cleared his throat. "We're happy to ease the burden," he said. "Maybe $600 to be safe." I set my glass down. $600. I echoed, as if considering it. "And how much did you give Mia and Daniel for their home?" Margaret blinked, caught off guard. "Oh, $50,000 for the deposit, plus $20,000 for their Maldives honeymoon." I nodded. That's roughly my monthly take-home. I'm a senior vice president at Horizon Global, managing operations across 7 regions. I've built a life where respect comes from actions, not appearances. The table went still. Margaret's smile froze. Daniel's jaw tightened. Mia whispered, "Mom." I looked at her gently. "You didn't mislead them, Mia. You just forgot that simple doesn't mean small." I pulled my corporate card from my purse and placed it on the table. "Dinner's on me," I said. A gesture from the woman you thought needed your handout. The waiter hesitated, sensing the tension. I stood, the weight of their assumptions lifting off me. Outside, the rain had softened to a mist. I stepped into the night, feeling unshackled, the city's hum like a quiet cheer. The cab driver, a woman with kind eyes, asked, "Tough evening?" I chuckled. "More like enlightening." She nodded. Family dinners do that. The loudest ones always seem the emptiest. I smiled. True wealth is peace, not noise. She grinned. "You sound rich." At my condo, I felt lighter, my small space brimming with calm. Books, a worn rug, Mom's old teapot. The next day, Mia called, voice shaky. "Mom, I'm sorry. I told them everything. Your career, your strength." They were stunned. "Daniel's ashamed and I forgot who you are." I let her speak. "Daniel wants to apologize in person," she added. "Words are easy," I said. "Show me with actions." She paused. "I love you, Mom." "Love is lived, not said," I replied softly. "Start there." Days later, Daniel knocked on my door, holding sunflowers, dressed simply. "Mrs. Grayson, I misjudged you," he said. "I grew up equating money with respect. You showed me otherwise." I invited him in. "It's hard to unlearn what you're taught," I said, "but it's brave to try." He looked around my cozy condo. "It's peaceful here." I nodded. "That's the point." He exhaled. "I want to be better, for Mia, for you." I smiled. "Then listen more than you speak. Value people, not their things." Weeks later, Mia and Daniel started visiting regularly, bringing stories, not status. Daniel shed his polished veneer, laughing openly about his mistakes. One evening, as we sipped tea, Mia said, "I thought wealth was loud. Now I see it's quiet." I nodded. Peace is free if you know where to look. They stayed late, the condo warm with their voices. As they left, Mia hugged me tightly. "Thank you for not giving up on me." I squeezed her hand. We all stumble. The trick is rising wiser. Months on, I began mentoring women at work, mothers new, hires, dreamers. One night, a young analyst asked, "How do you stay strong when people underestimate you?" I smiled. "By knowing their judgment reflects them, not you, and by never mistaking wealth for worth." Later, alone, I wrote in my journal, "Power doesn't shout. It stands firm, listens, forgives." Chicago glowed outside, 1,000 lives unfolding. My condo, small but full, held everything I needed: peace, truth, and a heart no one could diminish.